APD recorded testimony from Mr. Brian Devane, 44, who is said to have accidentally come upon the third victim in what the media has coined the mortician murders. Man, you should have seen her eyes. The eyes were wide open and blue, and I swear to Christ, they were still alive. Like they were looking right at me. I mean, directly at me. Looking at me so intense-like, and with, what's the word I'm going for here? Conviction. Yeah, that's it. Conviction. They were looking at me with such conviction that I actually stopped my jog. I mean, I just came to a grinding halt mid-stride. I turned to her and smiled because she was... Okay, this is going to sound weird and all, but she was really very attractive. I'm a single guy, and just because I'm smiling right now and red-faced doesn't mean I'm some sort of sicko. I mean, how was I supposed to know she was dead at that point? Anyway, she was smiling at me, and the smile was enough to get me to stop running, which is a miracle in itself because once I get these old bones and joints moving, it's tough to get me to stop. Plus, I'm on the clock, and I got to be at work by 9, like every other working stiff in the city. I stopped, and I said a kind of breathless hello to her. And then, because I couldn't think of anything else to say, I just said, "Can I help you?" I'm laughing, not because I think the situation is the least bit funny, but because, can you imagine what adult I must have looked like, stopping my jog to say hello and "Can I help you?" Luckily, she was dead, or I would have been really embarrassed. You can scratch that last comment, right? The part about being lucky and all. Okay, I'll just continue. So I asked if I could help her, and naturally, she didn't respond. But up until that point, until I moved in closer, I didn't suspect anything was wrong with her. I mean, she was stone stiff and no longer looking into my eyes, but instead staring off into the distance. Not that there was anything much to look at. She didn't respond to me at all, or move. But even then, I didn't think twice about it. I just assumed she was caught up in one of those stares that happen to people, even healthy, normal people, you know? Before they finish their first cup of coffee, for instance. My own mother was like that. She woke up every morning with this 1,000-mile stare that wouldn't go away until at least her third cup of Maxwell House and her second cigarette. Anyway, when she didn't respond, I said, "Hello," again, louder this time. I could make out the occasional jogger behind me running past, but by then my entire world revolved around this strange woman. I sat down beside her, patted her knee. I'm like that. There's good touch and there's bad touch, but I like to make good touch. Nice touch. But she wouldn't respond. I think it was then that I made the sudden transition from happy that a hot woman took notice of me to outright, "There's a disturbance in the force, Luke." I patted her knee again, harder this time. Again, she didn't respond, not in the least. "Lady," I said, "you all right?" But she just continued staring off into the distance. That's when I lifted my hand, pressed my fingers against her face. I jerked them back right away, repulsed by what I felt. The skin was cold. It was also stiff, almost tight, like a body of wax. What the hell can I say? An electric charge filled my body, caused me to pull back. The little bit of breakfast I had before jogging, some fresh squeezed OJ and plain wheat toast, came back up on me, and I hurled right there between my knees. Because I knew it then. I fucking knew she was dead, and that she had either died right there on the spot or worse. Someone had killed her and placed her there, seated her on the bench, her eyes wide open, her hair perfect. Did I have a clue that she'd been embalmed? Not the slightest. Or what I mean is, now it all makes sense. Why her eyes were open and alive, why her skin looked alive, at least initially, why her hair appeared to be blowing in the breeze, why she was so put together. But my God, who could do such a thing to her? Such a sweet young woman. She had her whole life ahead of her. Who would even think of embalming someone while they were still alive? Some sort of sicko, that's who. Someone who doesn't appreciate the sanctity of life, or what, you ask? I don't know. Maybe whoever did this to her hated himself. But I will say this. It was creative what he did. I mean, he was designing her death. The way she died was unique, all right, but sick too. Maybe embalming that lady while she was alive was just his way of torturing himself.